I have two phrases for you, and in the comment section below, I want you to answer which one is right. So the first one is this: acting is about being an incredibly gifted faker. The second one is acting is about being truthful, honest, and real. Which one is better? Which one is right? Leave it down in the comment section below. Now, I already know that some of you, by listening to this, are already having a feeling or an opinion about this. Most likely, and this is what happens when I've actually told people about this is the feeling and the responses that I've got. Maybe yours is different, let me know. But typically, people, when they hear about being an incredibly gifted faker to be an actor, typically they don't like that one. But they do like the one about being truthful, honest, and real. Are you the same way? Are you different? Are you an outlier? Leave it down in the comment section below. What would you do, though, if I told you that both of these phrases were said by two different Oscar-winning actors? The first one was said by Robert Downey Jr., the second one was said by Kate Winslet. So now what? The Oscars is typically the place where we say, hey, these are the best actors. Two people, very different phrases, very different meanings. Is Robert Downey Jr. wrong? Is Kate Winslet wrong? Is one right? Is the other right? Which one is it? So even though you may be having a feeling about these phrases, they're both said by Oscar-winning actors. So the reason I'm making this video here today is because I want to challenge some of the ideas that you have on acting a little bit. And I want you to just think and realize that there's more options than maybe you thought about before. Because for acting, really, there's three different approaches. There's working from the inside out, there's working from the outside in, and then there's working from the technical side of acting. My goal in this video is not necessarily to go and change anybody's minds. My goal in this video is for you to realize that there's a lot of different approaches out there, and there's not just one approach. And maybe for yourself, you always thought that there was just one. Acting had to be this, but you didn't realize, oh, it can be this. Maybe you're somebody who thought, well, acting has to all be fake. It's 100% fake because if I'm playing Hamlet, I'm not actually talking to a ghost. I'm not actually hundreds of years in the past. We're in present day and I'm pretending to be somebody. Maybe your perspective has always been that and you thought people who were honest and truthful were silly. But what I want you all to realize is no matter which side of the aisle you're on, that both are right and neither are wrong, but there are differences to them. And there are some differences that are good. And there are some differences that maybe are not so good. And we're going to be talking about all of those first, starting off with working from the inside out. Typically, when it comes to working from the inside out, people refer to this as different methods of acting. Now, when we hear method in acting synonymously together, we think of the stereotypical method acting. Not that there's different methods of acting, but method acting where people are portraying their characters 24/7. They never break from who they are. They go home when they see their wife and their kids, they're in their characters. They're not necessarily who they are, or they have to go and be away from people for 3 months, 6 months in order to play these roles. That is the general idea when people think about method acting. And that is not what I teach on this channel, nor is it what I promote, for a few different reasons. And I want to talk about them kind of quickly here. And then we're going to get into the more inside out approach that I'm trying to get to for this specific topic here. And then we'll move on to the other ones. So now, why don't I go and teach method acting? Because it is a fact that there are people who use the approach of method acting, portraying their characters 24/7, and they've won Oscars, which means that the approach has worked. So then why don't I go and teach it? Well, there's a few different reasons for this, and a lot of it has to do with how you treat people around you, and it also has to deal with yourself and your own mental psyche in all of this. So what I want to do is just get into the details, just get into the facts of this, not necessarily saying, hey, this is my opinion on it. Let me just give you the facts of some of the people who've gone through method acting. So the first one that we have is Jared Leto. So in 2017 Suicide Squad, to help channel the Joker, he reportedly pulled some pranks on his co-stars, including gifting Margot Robbie a real rat. In 2022's Morbius, director Daniel Espinosa said between takes, Leto either used his character's crutches or a wheelchair to go to the restroom, causing the crew to wait longer before resuming filming. So you have to remember, in movie making, every minute costs money. It's not cheap to go and make a movie, especially when you're going to make a big movie like Morbius. Every single minute costs a lot of money, and you're keeping people waiting. And then also, he had the idea of, hey, you have to go and send your co-stars rats, and you have to do these things. It can get to extremes, especially if you're somebody who's just in drama school right now, or you're somebody who hasn't made a name for yourself like Jared Leto. He has a name, so they're going to wait 40 minutes for him to go to the bathroom, even though it's going to cost them a ton of money. But they're not going to do it for a completely new actor. So if somebody like you, who's brand new, and you try to do this, it's not going to be a good day for you on set. It's detrimental. and it's not good. Here's another one. Let's go a little bit more into some of the mental health side of things. So let's take a look at Lady Gaga. During a previous interview with British Vogue, the actress singer revealed she spent 9 months speaking in an Italian accent, even off camera, and lived as her character day to day for a year and a half. Gaga also admitted that she had some psychological difficulty at one point towards the end of filming as she started adjusting back to her normal life. Next one we have is Austin Butler. During an interview last year, the actor revealed that he didn't see his family for 3 years while filming the 2022 movie, saying he even went months when he didn't talk to anyone. Butler added that when he did speak with his family and friends, he never left character. When I did, the only thing I was ever thinking about was Elvis, he said. I was speaking in his voice the whole time. After taking on the intense acting approach, Butler admitted that it took a toll on him. You can lose touch with who you actually are, he said, and I definitely had that when I finished Elvis, not knowing who I was. You can lose touch with who you are. See, for me, that's a hard thing because I think that people are unique and special individuals. And however long you've been on this planet for, that's how many years that you've spent developing who you are. And then to lose yourself, that's a big thing. Now, am I saying that everybody who goes and does method acting, this is going to happen to? No. It doesn't happen to every single person. But this is a potential side effect that can happen by taking this approach of method acting. Now, the thing that I want you all to realize is that even though there are actors who have done method acting, this is not the only approach to achieving an effective character. An easier and simpler way to think about this is imagine Disneyland. A lot of people want to get to Disneyland, but there's a lot of different ways to get there. You can take a bike, a motorcycle, a bus, your own car, an Uber. You can walk, you can run. A lot of different ways to get to Disneyland, just as there's a lot of different ways to create an effective character. Because we have multiple options of doing this, and because if we look at every single Oscar winner that there's ever been, and you actually go and look how many of them are method actors, it's actually going to be a small amount compared to the large amount of people who are not method actors, meaning that you can still do a great performance, an amazing performance, and even win Oscars without having to go and specifically do method acting. So anyways, that's my little spiel on method acting. That's why I don't teach it. I think it's harmful for people, and it's just not what I personally go and recommend to others. Now, let's go and talk about more about the inside outs of acting. So for the inside out, it's internal. So a lot of it's happening up here in your head, and then it builds and grows throughout the rest of your body when you're building these characters. So one of the approaches that people will do, and you've probably heard this before, is where people will go and think about stuff that's happened in their past to try and bring that out to the characters that they portray. Now this is great if you're having to play a happy character and you think about the happiest moment in your life and then you bring that into the scene, it's not so bad. But if you're having to play a scene that's really emotional or dark and depressing, and then you have to go back into your own life and think about something that made you feel that way and bring that into a scene, it can be very difficult. And not a lot of people want to do this, but they feel like they need to. So God forbid, if you have a family member who died, your mom died, your dad died, and then you're having to do a scene, and then you feel like, oh my God, I really need to be emotionally connected to the sad scene that I'm in. And you know that this is the most sad memory that you had, and then you're trying to bring this up. For some people, it works, and they like it. For other people, and specifically people that I know and that I've seen, it can be really hard for them to have to go and deal with on a personal and mental level, because at the end of the day, they're still going to go home and be with themselves. So there's nuances to this. This, though, I do think is better than method acting where you're having to be your character 24/7, but this can still have some side effects that can be hurtful and detrimental to the actor. The last thing I want to talk about for this section of Inside Out is something that I will use at times, which is using your imagination. So it's still working from the inside here, but you're not having to draw on a horrible, horrific memory of your past, but you can use your imagination to go and build your characters or grow your characters. And this is still an approach of working from the inside out, but then you're actively using your imagination. So actors who have done this before, we're going to see some clips here. We're going to see it with Robert Downey Jr., and then we're also going to see it with Matthew McConaughey. So let's first watch these two clips.
And I was like, oh my God, I guess I better concentrate. And I just thought for a quarter second about what's it like for all fathers and sons, mothers and daughters. Are they ever going to connect? Can they ever understand each other? And just having that thought in my head gave me this springboard.
Is from the inside out, get the guy's monologue. Then I can do a scene if I got the monologue.
So as you can see, what these actors did is they used the process of working from the inside out. So now let's go ahead and talk about working from the outside in. Outside in is just the opposite of inside out. We're using external things to go and build up our characters, and then we start to feel it on the inside. I remember I was in drama school before, and there was, I think it was a Shakespeare piece that I was in, because somebody got a staff and then other people got swords. And when they had these external elements, these props given to them, it changed how they behaved and how they interacted and how they moved. Because when this person got a staff, all of a sudden they were a little bit straighter. Their head was a little bit higher. Their tone of voice, their cadence changed slightly in a little bit because of the external factors that affected them, the actors. Those are elements of working from the outside in. Let me show you some clips here. Let's first start off with Oscar nominee Johnny Depp, and we're going to see what he has done before to get into his characters.
Like Edward Scissorhands, for example, was based on a dog that I'd had and newborn babies. My sister had a couple of new babies, and I watched them, you know, because I thought that Edward would see things from a place of innocence.
The eyes are a big one, and he uses references from other things, from babies or from puppies, in order to go and build his characters. We had to do this at drama school, where what we did is we went outside and we had to go and basically people watch. People would walk by, and then we'd have to watch their mannerisms, how they walk, how they held themselves up, and then we had to bring it into the classroom and basically go and mimic these people. And what ended up happening for a lot of the students in the class is that the way that they talked, the cadence that they had, the way that they behaved, ended up changing, and all they used is an outside stimulus. They used the idea of what they saw from somebody else and brought that into the classroom, and then that was able to help them. And that was a visual thing that they used. We have our different sensory senses. We have our visuals, we have our auditory, we have our nose, we have our mouth, different things. So this next one I'm going to show you from working on the outside in is using scent, using smell in order to help get into character.
I do use a different perfume for every character I play. What happens is that it's very sensory, right? So the moment I wear that perfume, I think something happens. It transports me to that world, that something.
Now, smell can be a big one for a lot of actors. I do know actresses and actors who have used smell, and it actually helps them get into characters. This next one is auditory, and this is one that I've talked about on this channel many times before. And if you're a true follower of this channel, you're gonna know what it is. But let's just watch it here real quick.
Music for me as an actor is like a serious way in. I always make up like a playlist for them, especially if it requires emotional vulnerability.
Music can be a huge help when you're trying to build your characters. We use music in our everyday lives. If you're going to go and work out at the gym, you're not going to go and play a slow, sad song. You're going to play something that's high in energy because it energizes you. When we watch movies and we see an action scene, say with Tom Cruise running away from an exploding building, we don't have this slow, sad song playing. We have this epic music playing because the music matches the scene and gives us, as the audience member, a certain feeling. So we do this when we go to the gym. We see this when we watch movies. So why not use it to our benefit when we're going and creating our own characters? This is something that I use all the time. This is something that has helped me a lot, and it's helped a lot of the actors that I've assisted with, just putting elements of music in it. I got one more to show you before we move on to the next point, and this one's going to be with Mel Gibson.
Instruct them, I said, it's all about breathing. I said, just breathe and just emulate the pattern of the emotional state you think that this person is in at this point, and breathe and just think it, and it'll just magically happen.
As you can see, breath is a huge part of it, centering the actor, getting them into the zone. There's a lot of different approaches that you can take from the outside in. My whole goal is, again, just to let you see all the options that you have at your disposal. You have the inside out, but you also have the outside in, and now we can go and move on to the technical side of things. So I want you to go and watch this clip of Michael Caine. If you've seen some of my recent videos, we've been talking a lot about Michael Caine, Oscar winner. It's just he has this great masterclass online that a lot of people can learn from, and I recommend that you see it at some point in time. But he's just going to talk about the eyes, and the eyes is a very technical thing, but just watch this clip and then we'll talk about it.
And if I keep blinking, it weakens me. But if I'm talking to you and I don't blink and I just keep going and I don't blink and I keep on going and I don't blink, you start to listen to what I'm saying. And it makes me a very strong person, as opposed to someone who is sitting there going, which is someone who's completely flustered.
Just by how you blink. The more blinks you have, or the less blinks you have, tells a story. You're not having to try and think about the past memory that's happened before. You're not trying to have to go and hold a sword in your hand. You're not having to do anything like that. All you're doing is just gauging how many times you're blinking. And that in itself, when the camera is on you, it tells a story, but it's working from just a technical perspective. Now, I do have this clip that I want you all to watch with Adam Driver. Adam Driver is an Oscar nominee, and he's also an actor who went to Juilliard. And I just want you guys to just watch this clip and see what he has to say, and just let me know in the comments down below what you think about it.
It's not your job to feel anything. It's the audience's job. So I obviously have been thinking about something for a long time, and you finally get there and do it. You want to feel something just because you feel like you put the effort in, but it's not really my responsibility to feel something. It's to telegraph that something is being felt. You could be having all the feeling you want, but no one is feeling anything. And your job is to tell the story, not have a feeling in front of people.
When I saw this clip, it was really interesting because I saw people comment to this, and there was people who really liked what he had to say, but then there was also people who saw it and really hated what he had to say. And they said, no, this is not what I agree with acting. I don't like it, blah, blah, blah. It's really interesting, and I'm not saying that this is right, and I'm not saying this is wrong. But what I am saying is that he is an actor who's gone to Juilliard. He is an actor who's been nominated for an Oscar. And he's saying this about acting. Again, doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong, but it means it's an approach that he takes that ends up being effective. That's the whole thing, realizing that there's a lot of different approaches and that there's a lot of different ways of being effective in your acting. So it's really curious when you watch this, because a lot of people think, oh my God, I have to have so many big emotions. I have to have this emotion or idea I had in my head when I do a scene, but that causes a lot of stress on the actor. Just like if I said, hey, you have to do a scene right now and cry on cue. All of a sudden, you're going to freeze up, tense up, and go, oh my God, now that I have to cry, it's so much harder compared to if it comes out naturally. Same as with emotions. If you're trying to force an emotion out, then it's going to be more awkward than if you're just letting it happen. And the most important thing, as Adam Driver was saying, which I agree with, is not necessarily what the actor is feeling. It's about what the audience is feeling. Now, if the actor and the audience can resonate and be one-on-one, great. Awesome. But if the actor, for example, is supposed to be in this scene and there's supposed to be a sad scene and the audience is supposed to feel bad for a character, and then you, the actor, are not making them feel that way, then you have failed at your job of effectively telling that story. But now if your job is to make them feel sad and you happen to feel sad and they feel sad and it works and you're lined up, nothing is also wrong with that. Again, my whole thing is not to say what's right. It's not to say what's wrong. It's just to say that, hey, all of you, listen, there's different options, there's different approaches, there's a lot of different ways to get to the top of the mountain. Anyways, this video took a long time to make. To show your support, go ahead and share this video. It helps out a lot. Also, leave down in the comment section below how you feel. Did your opinion change? Did you learn more? Did you grow more as an actor intellectually, realizing, hey, there's a lot of different processes. Oh, some of these processes that they're not wrong and they're not right. It's just different. And you can decide for yourself the type of actor that you want to be, realizing that you have more options at your disposal than maybe you knew about before. So no matter which approach you end up deciding to take, outside in, inside out, technical, all of them can win you an Oscar. I hope you all like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you stay up to date with everything. If you're interested in our 10-hour acting masterclass, our 2.0 version, it'll be down in the description down below. Also in the comment section, we also have our 10 acting resume templates. And if you have any personal questions at all related to your acting, in-depth approaches that you need for yourself, you can reach me on Connect, and there I'll answer any questions you have personally to you, and I'll get back to you within 24 hours. So I hope you all enjoy. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.